to the floor and bust it, bust it, bust it, bust it, bust it, bust it, chop it all into it.
Bust it like you can't afford a car. You a star, you look in the mirror, you know who you are, right? Cool, take it low, take it way lower than that. I fly private when I go, ain't no layover on that. Yeah, I made it to the top, took a seat, still sitting, man. I'm up at Stadium in D.C., still tipping, man. She could've paid tuition 5 times, still stripping. I just throw a couple bills and she'll have a pair of.
And a lot of conflicting opinions on Los Angeles Country Club as a U.S. Open venue. We will talk about what we learned in LA's first U.S. Open in 75 years after this.
Clark is a major champion. He's won the U.S. Open. We'll wrap up the major season with the Open Championship.
Cam Smith is the Open champion.
Your home for golf's biggest events is PGA Tour Radio, Sirius XM 92, and on the SXM app. Available with all of our trials and popular plans.
When you're in a greenside bunker, rule number 1, get it out of the greenside bunker. How do you do that? Pick a spot an inch behind the ball and swing hard. Put the club in behind the ball and let the club lift the sand. The sand lifts the ball, and the ball ends up on the green. For more golf tips, stay tuned to Sirius XM PGA Tour Radio Channel 92. Brought to you by the Wells Fargo Active Cash Credit Card. Earn unlimited 2% cash rewards on purchases. Terms apply.
For the whole family.
Play funky jams.
Oh, yeah.
Volume down.
Play something lit.
Volume down, please.
And 2% cash back on what you need, like noise-canceling headphones for mom.
That's better.
That's real life ready. Visit wellsfargo.com/activecash. Terms.
And reshape our culture.
We gon' be alright.
Massive hits from Jay-Z, Notorious B.I.G., Eminem, Drake, and hundreds more.
Mississippi putting it down.
Hear them all on Sirius XM's Top 500 hip-hop tracks of all time throughout Black Music Month in the SXM app and for a limited time, starting Friday on Channel 105.
Mashup channels, workout channels, channels for parties, or just chilling out and more. Expertly curated for any mood, occasion, or activity. Extra channels let you discover new music and enjoy even more variety from every decade and music style you love. Plus, you can watch some of your favorite SiriusXM shows with SiriusXM Video. And you can do it all along with listening in your car as part of our music and entertainment plan. Right now, we're offering SiriusXM subscription plans for as low as $6 a month, plus fees and taxes. Call 844-711-8800 to find out more about these amazing offers.
With the SiriusXM Platinum VIP plan, you can unlock the ultimate listening experience in up to 2 cars and stream anywhere with 2 app logins. Enjoy our greatest content, opportunities for live VIP experiences, and prioritize customer care. Plus, get access to Stitcher Premium podcasts and over 5,000 audio and video concert recordings through Nugs.net. Call 844-711-8800 and become a VIP. Offer details apply. Not available in Canada.
Your life.
This is Dr. Laura. If you want some no-nonsense advice, call me.
Your future.
Dave Ramsey here will give you the proven strategies for your life, your money,
your point of view.
It's me, Megan Kelly. Smart, in-depth, fun, sometimes provocative conversations on this show. I'm not going to hold back.
Plus, inspiring views with Glenn Beck and daily bombshells on crime stories with Nancy Grace. To hear SiriusXM Triumph, activate your radio now. Call 844-711-8800 or go to SiriusXM.com/go to sign up quickly.
Advice right now on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio Channel 87 and on the SXM app.
Number 7, they go around the right-hander. Ross Chastain is not going to give him room. He'll take that spot back. Keep Chastain in third.
As they work down through the S's, Chastain trying to hold off Truex as he tries to gain ground again on Joey Logano. Through 9, down the hill, heading for 10.
Okay, if you're looking for some very unprofessional but very good advice on a breakup, doubling back on an ex, your bid-in situationship, your sexless marriage, Love Thing is the show for you.
Love Thing with Punky Johnson, Kevin Hart's Laugh Out Loud Radio, SiriusXM Channel 96, and the SXM app, free with all of our trials and popular plans.
know SiriusXM has over 100 extra channels on the SXM app, filled with ad-free music made for everything you do? Mashup channels, workout channels, channels for parties, or just chilling out and more. Expertly curated for any mood, occasion, or activity. Extra channels let you discover new music and enjoy even more variety from every decade and music style you love. Plus, you can watch some of your favorite SiriusXM shows with SiriusXM Video. And you can do it all along with listening in your car as part of our music and entertainment plan. Right now, we're offering SiriusXM subscription plans for as low as $6 a month, plus fees and taxes. Call 844-711-8800 to find out more about these amazing offers.
Rondo Deportes, bonjour, vidi vidi vici, let's get ready to rumble! Welcome to the show, my name is Charles of Big C Sports. This is Big C Sports coming to you worldwide on the Big C Sports Network, the number one network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the number one sports show in the universe, according to me and people who love the universe. And that would include you on a beautiful June 21st, 2023. And I want to say today's show is sponsored by your Northern California. Cadillac dealers, humbly all new Cadillac Escalade, this desert of the world. If you go by and test drive yours, tell them Charlton of Big C Sports sent you, as well as driving the fleet of Cadillac cars all across the universe. Follow the Big C Sports podcast on 27 podcast applications. That's more than anybody in America. And give that some praise. You can give that praise. Google, Alexa, Spotify, Speaker Podcast, Apple Podcast. I'm telling you, iHeartRadio Podcast, Castbox Podcast, the Deezer Podcast, Podcast Addict, Pod Chaser. I love Pod Chaser. I also love Geo Savon Podcast out of London, England, as well as India and Africa. Podtail, YouTube, Hubhopper, Stitcher Podcast, Radio Line, Repod Podcast, Luminary Podcast, Listen Notes, Podcast Wise, Podbay, Verbal Podcast, Podcast Odyssey, Podcast Republic, Podcast, and also Good Pods. The only one that used to scare me, then it stopped. And then it said, I'm back. It's allfees.ai. That means the robots are taking over. But I have a solution. Do you want to hear it? The laughter means yes. You know, there was a great singer by the name of Teddy Pendergrass. And he was so forceful. He would make women wanna do the wild thing just by saying, turn them off. I mean, who wouldn't want to turn them off and Teddy yelling that loud? He said, turn off the lights. Give me some praise. Come on. Turn off the lights and light a candle. And if it didn't work, he said, turn them off. Yeah, I turned my lights off when Teddy was singing. He wasn't even talking to me. You can also follow Big C Sports Podcast, streaming OTT on 4 TV platforms all over the universe. You can find it on Xfinity, Comcast TV, Apple TV, Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, and a lot of smart TVs all over the universe. All I need is $6 billion. Give $6 billion some praise. Hey, don't laugh. Faith comes by hearing. I'm talking to God, not talking to any cynical person. You know, I want to also do something that I've been doing several years now. I love the Veterans Crisis Hotline. They really are experienced helping veterans and their loved ones get help. And oftentimes we just say, thank you for your service. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your service. What does that mean? If you know any veterans going through issues, the Veterans Crisis Hotline, they are experienced helping veterans and their loved ones. That can mean you. Get some help. They will stand on their head to get you some help. 800-273-8255. That's 800-273-8255. Or you can text 838-255. That's 838-255. But if you're online, simply go to veteranscrisisline.net. I say that's veteranscrisisline.net. And when you do, you want to give them some praise. Because we all need somebody to lean on. I need somebody to lean on. We all do, if that makes sense to you. However, it's good when somebody leans on you. But it can also be a double entendre. It can be an oxymoron if somebody's leaning on you. That's why they have the 800 Gambler Hotline. because sometimes when you don't pay your bets, somebody's gonna come and they're gonna lean on you. What they say in the song, I think it was sang by 2 Live Crew. They sang, lean on me. Come on, y'all. When you're not strong, and I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on. Oh, it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. Enough, Kerr, you're not a singer. Okay, but if you owe the mob some money, do you know they have guys that will find you? I've heard it myself. I once met a guy, he was a big-time gambler. I was a young boy, and he always had a nice little, those Brougham hats, like a lot of gentlemen wore them in the South, and he always wore a nice suit. It was always sharp. He always looked sharp, had a nice suit, but he was a gambler. And before I understood what happens to gamblers that don't pay their debts, I was asking him one time, I said, what happened to your other 2 fingers? He said, mind your business. 800 gambler, if somebody tells you to mind your business, especially when they're missing 2 fingers, because the gaming industry, if they get in, you ever get in bed with somebody? Sometimes getting in bed with somebody can be good. Sometimes it can be bad. A lot of bad things happen when you get in bed with the wrong person. I have a story, you might want to hear about it. And as I was saying, growing up, this guy, he was always sharp. He always looked sharp. And he was always playing the numbers. And he always told people when he wanted some money. He was always had a pocket full of money. He always had women because he could pull out money. And most people, you got money, they go out with you. But he was missing 2 fingers. That was his pinky finger and his ring finger on his right hand. And I was asking him what happened to his fingers. He said, none of your business, mind your business. But some other guys told me that he'd had his fingers where they shouldn't have been. If that makes sense to you. It's easier if you just call 800 Gambler and don't have to deal with those kind of guys, because everybody doesn't play fair in life. There's a lot of good old boys, they don't play fair in life. 800 Gambler, if you like playing with people who don't play fair in life, I want to say thank you to Xfinity Comcast TV and Comcast Spotlight Effect TV for presenting Big C Sports to the universe. Just like in Genesis 1:3, where God said, reparations now, reparations forever. And then he said, let there be light. But they're both mutually exclusive. They can exist at the same time, reparations now and let there be light. I love thinking that, the Xfinity Comcast TV, Comcast Spotlight. You know, I want to do what I always say I do with Big C Sports, and that's why I want that $6 billion. And I'm talking to God, I'm not talking to cynical people. And God's made people worth $100 billion, $200 billion, $50 billion. Well, think about it. If you got one man in the universe that has a sports podcast that goes all over the world, even some people told me they heard it on Mars. I can't confirm or deny. But I produce the show, always fresh. Every day is fresh. I don't give you used collard greens. I don't give you day-old collard greens. They're always fresh. I always produce the show. I direct the topics. I broadcast all the shows. I do all the sound effects based on the platform provided by the agency. We can all use more laughter in our lives. I even sing. The commercials are done. The staff provided the storytelling. The play-by-play, runners on first and third. The counts for the pitch. Curveball. Struggle to hit deep. Left field. Back to the wall. Okay. Say hello to my little friends. They say the girls love the long ball and men love to hit deep. What is it about the long ball that girls love? And what is it about hitting deep that men love? Maybe it's human nature, if that makes sense to you. The great Michael Jackson told us. I upload every show. It goes out to 27 podcast applications all over the universe. And there's 4 TV platforms, soon to be 5. I never miss a show. The show comes out of New York City, and I'm here in Dimdale Hills, California. How do you get a show to come out of New York City? And I'm in Dimdale Hills, California. It's called technology. I love technology. Speaking of technology, I want that $6 billion. I've been having so many dreams, so much alchemy. Sometimes you're expected to make a long road trip, and you're going to do it on your own. And then an angel from out of the universe says, I'll go with you. Isn't that amazing? When an angel says, I'll come with you. You just give God praise because there's so many miraculous things that have been happening in this month, the month of June. It's amazing. I can chronicle it like there's $6 billion that's happening. It's in the works right now. There's so many things that I've been having these Moet manifestations because God of the mighty universe, the Almighty God, Yahweh, Jehovah, the Alpha, the Omega, that same God that created the air that we breathe, that same God that created the dirt that comes out of the ground, that helps food grow out of the ground, but it won't grow out of cement, that same God that made the ocean waves, that ontological brain, that psychocybernetic mechanism called the brain. I've been visualizing with deep intensity, and things have been happening. I thank God for that. I love saying where it came from. I'm the only sports podcaster in the universe that pays homage to where I came from. I love giving love and respect to my beautiful family legacy on my beautiful mother's side. My great-grandmother called her Mama, beautiful, loving, kind woman, always making sure lots of love in the family and lots of food in the belly. Really do appreciate her. And then my great-granddaddy called him Pop, former military man and former Negro League baseball player. He was known around his church buddies as making the best moonshine in the history of the universe. Ever saying, boys, get out of that barn now. He always wanted us to stay out of the barn, but you know how boys are. You tell us to stay out, and we always try to get back in. It must be human nature if that makes sense to you. Get out! Like the movie Get Out. Why they always want to get back in? I mean, something about man's nature. When you say get out, they try to get back in. I don't understand it, but I'm always trying to get back in. If that makes sense to you, then my beautiful grandmother called her Muddia, beautiful, loving, kind woman. Just a loving person, and she was a seer. She could oftentimes look at a person and tell you a lot about their past, present, and their future. And one time, I mean, she still helps me to this day. One time I was trying to get on Interstate 80 or 880 over by the Coliseum in Oakland, and my steering wheel froze. It's like time froze. I saw her face on the windshield. And as I looked up, about 2 feet from me, there was an 18-wheeler smoking tires. I mean, it was about to run me over. But I'm telling you, I couldn't move for about 5 seconds because had I moved, I would have pulled over in front of that 18-wheeler. But I saw her face in my windshield, all fair and loving words. She's always with me. And then my beautiful grandfather, Hezekiah, another wonderful person, a seer. Oh, my man, blah, 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 blah. Woo! He can look at a person, tell you a lot about their past, present, and their future. And I'm getting that ability myself. My son has it. I'll talk about it later in the show. But really do appreciate her and then in him as well. And then my beautiful, I can always depend on my mama. The most beautiful mama in the history of the universe. Started a Head Start program, a food program, and then also coaching all boys, a Little League baseball team, to the championship of the universe. Give mama some praise. Always give her praise. Started a Head Start program, a food program, and then coaching all boys Little League baseball team to the championship of the universe. And in all men's league, they were always playing James Brown saying, this is a man's world. She said, hey, would it be nothing without a woman or a girl? And we won the championship. It was an all men's league. I think my mother's the first woman to coach an all boys Little League baseball team to a championship in Dimdare Hills, California, if that makes sense to you. Love my mama with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. Always saying rise and shine. In fact, at the church, everybody wanted mama's cooking. And then at a restaurant, everybody wanted Mrs. Curry's cooking. But especially at home, everybody wanted mama's cooking. She said, son, how many plates have you had? I said, curry for 3. I think that's funny. At the same time, I just appreciate my mama. I love my mama with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. The best person I've ever met in my life. A real person that you can count on, took care of children, grandchildren, cousins, nieces, nephews, great-grandchildren, and even sometimes just somebody in the neighborhood that needed some food in the belly. You don't find people like that anymore. Nowadays, a lot of people try to tear you down like a what they call those things, those bazookas. They try to tear people down nowadays. My mama's the real deal. Love her with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. Then on my beautiful father's side, my great beautiful man, grandfather Albert Curry, a former pastor. He had 2 churches in Oakland. He built a 3rd church in Central California with his own hands. He also owned 40 acres of land. It was like the Emancipation Proclamation. And there were 5 Emancipation Proclamations, but only 1 was signed up on. People don't know that. I'm going to talk about that later also. But he owned 40 acres of land. It's like when Frederick Douglass was working with President Abraham Lincoln to craft the Emancipation Proclamation, where every free black man was supposed to get 40 acres of the mule because black men helped the Union win the war. They helped them beat the Southern Confederates. Black men did that. That's how we became the United States of America. And they had to fight to the death. It was like people talk about the kamikaze pilots from Japan. Those black men were the first kamikazes. If they knew if they were captured, they'd be murdered. Because they were fighting the devil's children. And you know the devil only comes to kill, steal, and destroy. At the same time, when President Lincoln was assassinated, President Andrew Johnson, he vetoed the bill. And he gave the land back to the insurrectionists. The people who waged war against the United States, at that time called the Union. Could you imagine if you go rob a bank and you catch the people who robbed the bank and you sitting in front of the judge and the judge says he's going to give the money back to the people who were called bank robbers. People say, oh, Curry, you must be out your mind. But that's what happened. They gave the land back to the people who waged war on the Union. Not the black people that helped win the war. How do you go to God and say, Lord, forgive me for my sins? There were some people trying to stone a woman. And they were saying, we got to stone that woman. The same way the good old Broad was saying, hang Mike Pence. And Jesus Christ said, he who is without sin, cast the first reparations. But that's not what he said. He said, he who is without sin, cast the first stone. Give Jesus some praise. Jesus knew he was real about the reparations, and he's real now. I really do appreciate there's so many things with my granddaddy, and then my beautiful grandmother working side by side with my grandfather with the 2 churches in Oakland and building a 3rd church in Central California. Oh my goodness. And then helping with the 2 gas stations in Oakland, one on Badcroft, the other on Foothill. But I still remember one of the most seminal moments in my life. I was 8 years old, walking through a hallway in Oakland. I was tiptoeing too. It was about 10 o'clock at night. Man, I was heading to the kitchen, and I felt a hand on my forehead. And she said, where you going, young man? And I said, oh, I'm just going to the kitchen. I mean, what a 8-year-old boy been going at 10 o'clock at night? And surprised me because he normally went to bed at 8:30. But she said, are you trying to get some more cookies? I said, cookies and baby crap to what I'm trying to get, Grandma. I'm trying to get my reparations. And I said a couple cookies wouldn't hurt you because of being so long. But she touched me on my forehead. She said, there is something about your voice. I love hearing you speak. And I don't take for granted that Big C Sports Podcast is now syndicated on 27 podcast applications all over the universe. That's more than anybody else in the United States. That's why that $6 billion is right there, even if I got to get it from Dubai. They say, what's blood got to do? Blood money or not? If the PGA golfers can take the blood money, why not? Why not Big C? I'll take the blood money if that makes sense to you. And then, you know, life is so amazing. Really do appreciate my grandmother. And then my beautiful father, former United States Air Force fighter pilot, chief mechanic, always making sure that airplanes can fly high so we could all stay safe at night. Always saying develop your mind to its highest extent. And in fact, always, my dad's the first one to tell me about the SR-71, the Blackbird that can fly from Los Angeles to Washington, D.C. in 1 hour and 8 minutes. 1 hour and 8 minutes is about the time it takes to watch a TV program. If that makes sense to you. 1 hour and 8 minutes? You got to stand in line more than 1 hour, 8 minutes now just to get on a flight. And those jet engines on the SR-71, they're sitting in museums. They can be refurbished and put on jet planes. Maybe you get from LA to New York in 2 hours, or maybe even 3. But the technology is there, it's always existed. My dad always saying developing mind to his highest extent. And then in the Air Force, my father's roommate was the late Al Freeman Jr., who played the Honorable Elijah Muhammad in one of my favorite movies, Malcolm X, that was written and produced by the great Spike Lee, and then acted by my favorite actor, the great Denzel Washington. And I love the part where Denzel won his award. He finally won an Oscar. And he said, reparations now, reparations forever. I think that was a Guess Who's Coming to Dinner. Some people think it was Sidney Poitier. But isn't that something? When reparations passes, remember the check will not be televised. There are a lot of people sitting around watching games, watching sitcoms, watching people drop it like it's hot on some show, and not paying attention to the reparations. And they think that people that are antithetical to reparations, you think they're going to call you? You think they're going to tell you, hey, you can go down in this website and put in your personal information and verify your account, and the money will be deposited into your account. It's been done before. We're going to hopefully have, I have so much information, I just don't have enough time to get it all in. But just like the Holocaust survivors have been given reparations by the United Nations with the help of the United States and Germany, well, the United Nations is also in favor of black Americans, descendants of chattel slavery, getting reparations. In the United States, the powers that be are behind it. Because no reparations, no vote. We want the same thing our Jewish brethren get, and we praise that. I know they got a drunken love. What that song is called? Drunken Love. I don't know who sang it. I think it was I'll Be Sure. Drunken Love. Drunken Love. I think it was I'll Be Sure, but I'm not sure. Some people said it was Beyonce. At the end, they got a drunken love. They selling an alcohol commercial on TV, and they should be talking about reparations, because ask our Jewish brethren how it benefited their society. They got over $86 billion in reparations, and that's before factoring. If you don't know what factoring is, Google it. What factoring means, you have 10 times what your principal balance is. And that needs to happen next for descendants of chattel slavery. Get that some praise. Really do appreciate what I've learned so much over the years. And then my beautiful brother Todd, love my dad with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. And my beautiful brother Todd with that bombastic voice, sound like thunder and lightning. When Todd would speak, always saying go forward. A voracious reader, always talking politics and sports, as many other things we talk to, but I can't tell you. I would say, Todd, can I ask you a question? He said, as long as it's not too personal. Oh, Lord have mercy. Those times, gotta appreciate every day in life, every moment in life. Really do appreciate that. One of our favorite movies outside of Malcolm X was actually Pulp Fiction, where the great Vin Rames and Bruce Willis had a conversation. Also, the great Samuel L. Jackson and John Travolta were in it. It's before the big fight. When Vin Rames told Bruce Willis, he said, your butt goes down in the 5th round. Say that. And he said, okay, my butt goes down in the 5th round. He said, in the 5th round, you might feel a little stinging sensation. He said, that's just pride flipping with you. And Vin Rames said, only the way Vin Rames can say it. He said, look, pride. He said, pride only hurts. It never helps. He said, boxing is filled with a lot of unrealistic motherfuckers who think that butt gets better with age like fine wine, but it don't. If you think in terms of vinegar, then it do. So take this money, go down to the bank, and give your reparations and give me some praise. And Bruce Willis, he tried to steal the money. And you got to see the Pulp Fiction. I've watched it probably too many times, if that makes sense to you. And then my love child with all my heart, my body, and soul. Then my beautiful daughter, Daisy, the most beautiful daughter in the history of the universe. Gonna be a millionaire soon. Daisy set up the very first interview for Big C Sports for her father at Salem Media. It became the first time in the history of the United States that NFL Monday Night Football started broadcasting live on the Wall Street Business Network. They didn't do it when Rush Limbaugh was there. They did it when Big C Sports was there. But be that as it may, some good old boys said, if 2 N-words can do it, then we can bring in some insurrections. And they created shenanigans. And the show went away. They're having layoffs. And now Big C Sports is part of a national Black Wall Street Project. As we always say, our slogan is we'll leave the light on for you. No, that's not the slogan. That's the wrong page. But I'm part of that too. Their slogan is solutions now. Reparations now. Reparations forever. Tell it from the mountaintop. It's true, guys. It's happening. I've seen so many great things happen in my life, and you only need a few good people to believe it. Like the right politicians and the right senators, the right governors, and then you need executive order. The Emancipation Proclamation was signed by executive order, and today it's a shame. I mean, I love Juneteenth, but Juneteenth without reparations is like getting a present. It's beautifully wrapped, nice box, nice bowl, nice wrapping paper. You know, like a little kid, they want to shake the box and see what's inside. They don't hear anything. They don't hear anything at all. And then you open the box, and all it has inside is some styrofoam and a sign that says Happy Juneteenth holiday. And President Biden signed it. You know, everybody has their own thoughts about things, but they should have been passing reparations. It's an insult when you bamboozle people, because everybody knows the elephant in the room. You know the people who know it the most? The people who come around stomping for your vote. They know they give you an empty box, but it looks good. It said Juneteenth. Even made it a federal holiday. Abraham Lincoln didn't pass Juneteenth. He passed the Emancipation Proclamation, and he promised, it was a mandate, that descendants of chattel slavery get 40 acres and a mule. At that time was the equivalent of about $1.2 million. Do you think that would have changed the landscape of black Americans? The same black Americans that dealt with Jim Crow, redlining, black codes, pig laws. Some people don't even know what these are. But you can Google it. I mean, I love what I do with Big C Sports. I really do. And Daisy helped set up when college coaches would come to the West Coast and do work with Big C Sports. In fact, one time she scored 6 goals in a soccer game. It was like Daisy for the goal, the goal, the goal, the goal, the goal. And she's a right-footed kicker, ambidextrous. I love you with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. Isaiah 54:17. I always pray no weapon formed against you will prosper, and every tongue that raises up against you will be condemned. Always trust God. Stay away from wicked people. Wicked people come to divide and conquer. Read God's word about what that means. Never let anyone divide you from your family. If that makes sense to you, I love you. You can be anything you want to be. I just pray that God gives you the entire universe to have whatever you want in life. And I love you with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. And my beautiful, handsome son, Malcolm. He's the most handsome son in the history of the universe. College student, very smart, erudite, a good man. Help me save trees. I also always take newspapers and look for stats on players and teams for a Big C Sports podcast. And one day, Malcolm said, Dad, he said, why don't you just Google it? And I started Googling, the light bulb went off. And now I'm on 27 podcast applications and 4 TV platforms, soon to be 5. And all Malcolm did was tell me that I want to give that some praise. I got to give that praise because it deserves praise. And then, just like I said, it's going to be $6 billion that shows up in Big C Sports. One day, Malcolm said, Dad, do you want to see Big C Sports on TV? And I said, sure. He said, pick up the remote, aim it at the TV, and say, play Big C Sports. You'll see your show come up. And that's before it was even on the air. They're called Moed Manifestations. My mom's done it for me, so has my great-grandmother and my grandmother. They've done it before. The hardest part of air flight is getting the plane off the ground. Once it's in the air, it flies pretty smoothly. That's what my father taught me. The hardest part is liftoff, is taking off. Taking off is the hardest part. It's once it gets to the altitude of 20 to 30,000 feet, that's when they put it on cruise control And they say you can take off your seatbelts and go use the restroom or whatever you want, get a libation. But when they're taking off, they want you to fasten your seatbelts because that's the most difficult part, just like getting the show off the ground over 7 years ago. I want to give that some praise. A lot of people come and gone, but I'm a person that walks and talks by faith and not just by sight. And I love you, Malcolm. You can be anything you want. I just pray Isaiah 54:17 over you, that no weapon formed against you will prosper. That every tongue that rises up against you shall be condemned, because God is on your side. Confessing Romans 10:9, believe in God. Don't worry about knuckleheads. And never let anyone divide your family. Since 1619, people have been trying to do that to black Americans. Don't be that stupid to let it happen to you. You're too smart, you're too brilliant, if that makes sense to you. I love you with everything I have. And then Big C, with all that wealth of knowledge over the years, just like my great-granddaddy coming out of that barn, saying you gotta believe, saying let's get ready to rumble. I love saying welcome to the show. It's the nominated Big C Sports Podcast. I have no scripts. People say that is painfully obvious curry. I have no 3-minute teleprompters, no producer in my ear. I do my show with my higher self. I also want to pay homage to the Associated Press, because Big C Sports Podcast is the only sports podcast or sports show in the universe that has been interviewed extensively about reparations. Most people are shucking and jiving. In fact, they don't even talk about it, because Massa said, boy, don't you dare talk about what can help your family. Don't you dare talk about repairing what happened to you. And a lot of guys say, okay, boss. Boss, we sick. Boss, we hungry. Hey, boss, are we hungry? Give boss man a phone so he can Google reparations. I want to thank the Associated Press. Janie Hart, March 29th, 2023, she called me, did an article on reparations. And she didn't call the mothership. She didn't call some of those other programs that are shucking and jiving. Game recognized game. She also had interviewed or lamented about President Joe Biden, Vice President Kamala Harris. They got to know no reparations, no vote, no need to stopping without the reparations sign. Also, California Governor Gavin Newsom that said he is for reparations. And California Senator Stephen Bradford, he's the one responsible for name, image, and likeness for college sports. And some people said, I'll quit if we got to start paying those black boys. Dabu Swinney for Clemson was one of them. I don't think Dabu Swinney quit coaching. So did he lie? Or was he gaslighting? Black kids have made Dabu Swinney a multi-millionaire. And a lot of other coaches too. Not even going to get into Coach Huggins, who has a drinking problem. I hope he gets some help before he has a fatality. But at the same time, California Chair Camila Moore spoke with all of them. And reparations will happen, just like the United States helping Germany pay reparations, the Just Act. And before I get into a little bit of sports, I want to say, this is for all you good boys that say, I don't believe no reparations. I'll not tolerate reparations. The Senator Mitch McConnell, he said, I don't believe we should have to pay reparations for something we stole over 150 years ago. But the Survivors Today Act of 2017 said the Justice for Uncompensated Survivors Today Act of 2017, not 2001, not 1917, not 1817. The Justice for Uncompensated Survivors Today Act of 2017 is United States legislation that requires the State Department to report to Congress on steps that 50 states in the United States have taken to compensate descendants of chattel slavery. Hold on, I misread that. The Justice for Uncompensated Survivors Today Act of 2017 is United States legislation that requires the State Department to report to Congress on steps, listen up for all you anti-reparationists, on steps that 47 countries in Europe have taken to compensate Holocaust survivors and their heirs for assets seized by Nazi Germany and post-war communist governments, and we give that praise. Black Americans, descendants of chattel slavery, are next. If you can read, I just told you, and you can read it if that makes sense to you. I want to touch on something. Even the United Nations Human Rights Chief calls for reparations in the United States to repair an injustice. You know, I want to touch on something because it's important. I gotta mention this too, because the California, whatever happens in California, it happens everywhere in the country. It's the fourth largest economy in the world. California Reparations Task Force 16th meeting says, let's make history with the final report. During the last in-person meeting is Thursday, June 29th, 2023 at 9 a.m. Location, March Fong EU, Secretary of State Building, 1500 11th Street, the first floor auditorium in the state capital, Sacramento, California. But for those of you who still don't understand, I don't believe no reparations. I want you to check out the Department of Justice website for meeting time and any further updates. Go to oag.gov/AB3121/meetings and give that some praise. I'm going to say it one more time, because sometimes I've heard that faith comes by hearing and not just by sight. oag.ca.california/AB3121/meetings. Get involved and listen up, because the paychecks will not be televised. I'm telling you now. And I want to touch on, I know we have tomorrow with the NBA drafts coming up. And if we had as many of our black Americans pay attention to reparations as we pay attention to the NBA draft, and you understand no reparations, no vote, Dr. Anderson, his first book is a classic. It tracks slavery and Jim Crow public policies that use black labor to construct a powerful nation. It details how black people were socially engineered into the lowest level of a real-life monopoly game in which they're neither playing or winning. And it's a great book. It's called Black Labor, White Wealth by Dr. Claude Anderson, and it proves that reparations are a must. You can go to poweronomics.com to get that, while the mainstream wants you to focus on touchdown, home run, three-point play, roll there, Willie. He's good all the way. But this time, instead of going to the end zone, go get your reparations. Go get your reparations. It's so important. It's so important. And I think sometimes we've been like bamboozled and hoodwinked. Your sports are great. Sports are powerful. But Juneteenth as a federal holiday, you know, it's nice to have a federal holiday. But the idea behind the Emancipation Proclamation was to give 40 acres of land and a mule to descendants of chattel slavery, free black people. And so the truth behind 40 acres, and my granddaddy owned 40 acres, 40 acres and a mule, it was written by the great Henry Louis Gates Jr., and originally posted on the route. He said, we've all heard the story of the 40 acres and a mule promised to former slaves. Can't you just tell me who won the game, Curry? Yeah, people who read are winning the game. It's a staple of black history lessons, and it's the name of the Spike Lee's film company. The promise was the first systemic attempt to provide a form of reparations to newly freed slaves, just like our Jewish brethren have already been receiving. And it was astonishingly radical for its time, pro-socialist in its implications. In fact, such a policy would be radical in any country today. The federal government's massive confiscation of private property, some 400,000 acres formerly owned by Confederate landowners, and its methodical redistribution from former black slaves, and most people don't even think about it. The idea was really generated by black leaders themselves, just like Big C Sports. As a black leader, if that makes sense to you, I don't even like the term black leader. I like the term leader because leader is is ubiquitous. Don't let them put you in a pigeonhole and put you check this box like they do on a loan application. Are you black, white, Hispanic, Native American, etc.? But people got to understand the Reconstruction in America is unfinished revolution, 1863 to 1877, in coastal South Carolina and Georgia. The prospect beckoned of a transformation of Southern society, more radical than even to end slavery. Black men came up with the 40 acres and a mule thought. Some people thought it was General Sherman, but it wasn't him. It was black people that did that. And now, today, they got so many of us drunk in love playing sports. But the most clarion call for black Americans since the end of the Civil War is reparations. Because it hasn't happened yet. Not at the level it's about to. And it's good for America, all America. Not just black Americans. If anyone said, oh, we don't need no reparations. If somebody were to rob your home and take everything out of it, the first thing you anti-reparations would do, you call the police department. And you say, hey, I'm being robbed. And they're asking for a description of who did it. Did you see the person? Do you have any videotape of the person? And sometimes you say, well, I don't have videotape, but I know who did it, but I know it happened. Everything's gone. You know, they come in there to your house with their discovery team, and they start fingerprinting things and taking pictures and trying to get information from people who may have seen it happen. And you, as the anti-reparationist, you would want to get your stuff back. But what if they said, you know what, we got a clue on who took your stuff? Your land, your money, the interest you would have earned on the banks, we know who took it. Would you want your money back? Of course you would. Well, Congress did not defend what President Lincoln signed into law. The Emancipation Proclamation with 40 acres and a mule. We know who took the land. We know who took your stuff. We know who took your stuff. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell knows who took your stuff because his great-great-granddaddies, they owned slaves. At least 14 of them, 12 of them women. What do you think they were doing with those beautiful Nubian sisters? You think you gave them a chance to say no? You think they told them lift every voice and sing? No, they were doing whatever they wanted to with them. And for him to say, well, I don't think we need to pay reparations for something that we stole 150 years ago, can't you just sit up and dribble? God's going to do the right thing by black Americans. Give that some praise. I believe it. That's why we have the task force and it's here. And I just hope more people get involved in it. And I know that they have this thing going on with the NBA draft tomorrow, and I'll talk some about it too. But they're going to have Black Lives Matter on the court, and they're going to talk about end racism and justice for now. But what people fail to talk about is reparations. Why is only Big C Sports talking about it as a sports show? Why is everybody else afraid? Even as a Caucasian person, we only want the same thing our Jewish brethren got. Nobody's saying that should not have happened. We want the same thing. In fact, we deserve the same thing. If we're a just country, we deserve the same thing and give the same thing some praise. We deserve that. I'm so emboldened about things that are happening in our lifetime. I'm glad I'm here to see it. That all people will benefit from it. It's so important that we all get on board this love train and join in on the love train. And let it ride. Let it ride. Let it ride. So, the Just Act report for you anti-reparationists, an overview that Germany has taken commendable steps to confront its role as the perpetrator of the Holocaust and to ensure that Holocaust victims and their heirs receive restitution or compensation. Germany also honors and remembers the victims of the Holocaust and has worked to cultivate a culture of remembrance. Its restitution, the measures range from compensating former owners and their heirs for assets wrongfully seized during the Holocaust to making substantial financial contributions. They have victims' funds and survivors' pensions from 1945 to 2018. 1945, we still had a segregated military in the United States. Help win the war, stay segregated. And for you anti-reparationists, man, just tell me who won the game. From 1945 to 2018, you can Google it. The German government paid approximately $86.8 billion in restitution. Oh, I don't believe in no reparations. And compensation to Holocaust victims and their heirs. When you take that with factoring, 86 billion is like 860 billion. You got a lot of clout when you got $860 billion, don't you? That was given to you because of harms were committed against your people. You know, like descendants of chattel slavery from 1619 to 1865. There! How's that, Mr. Vaughn? That's what I'm talking about. So Germany has identified Nazi looted objects, including artworks, books, and objects within larger collections, and have returned many of that stuff to its original owners. The land that was given to black Americans, the land did not disappear. It didn't fall into the universe. It's still there. But just like a bank robber, what did Jackie Gleason say in Smokey and the Bandit? He was chasing some good old boys. And Burt Reynolds, when Jackie said he had to take a squat, for you Southern guys, that means, go to the bathroom. And he ran to the bathroom, but first he wanted to get the Big C burger. And the late, great Burt Reynolds said, "Sheriff, you look like you're in a hurry." He said, "Oh, yeah, I'm in a hurry." He said, "What are you chasing? You chasing bank robbers?" And Jackie Gleason, with that mouth full of Big C burger, he said, Big robber, baby crap to what I'm chasing my reparations." And so are black Americans. But people want to laugh. Ignorant people want to laugh. Learned people understand it's the right thing to do. In the aftermath of World War II, the United States of America, where we vote for a president of the United States, black Americans, white Americans, all people, we vote for the president. In the aftermath of World War II, a war that black Americans helped win, the United States of America, France, and the United Kingdom, they occupied areas of Germany that in 1949 became the Federal Republic of Germany, called the FRG. In November 1947, even when black Americans were denied the GI Bill, the United States military government promulgated military law number 59, which became the foundation of the first program of restitution of Holocaust assets, called reparations. Tell me what about reparations do black America not deserve? I just told you, and I do it on every show. I know a lot of guys are arguing about who's bigger, stronger, faster. Oh, I can't believe you think LeBron James is better than Jordan. Oh, no way he can be the GOAT. Jordan won 6 championships. They say nothing about reparations. Boss, we sick? Boss, can we talk about it, boss? Boy, you better shut your mouth. Talking about what benefits your people. Just tell me who won the game. And a lot of the guys, instead of doing their own podcast and making $1 million, they sit there hoping they don't get fired for being truthful. Because the truth shall set you free. If the truth set you free, then tell the truth. But who's going to talk about who won the game? It's so much information. Give Dixie's words some praise. I'm not like the others. I understand why I have to go write my name so many times when I ran my mouth as a little boy. But I just love so many things about life. And as I get ready to close out today's show, I really do appreciate the intelligent people of this country that lead, follow, and help others get out of the way. There's so many things that we need to see come to fruition in the United States. In most sports shows, they ogle over black men. Ooh, look at how big, strong, and fast these guys are. And now they're getting ready for the NBA draft. in free agency. And some of our more prominent brothers, they won't even say anything because they've been told to shut your mouth. But if the people that pay your check loves you, why don't they want you to tell the truth about what happened to our people? We celebrate our Jewish brethren all the time. When are they going to celebrate black Americans? Black people are the original people on the planet, according to Dr. Leakey Gregory Mendel. All life came out of the Eve gene. But as they talk about, NBA free agency season is almost upon us, while this year's list of free agents does not contain any person that talks about reparations. 2023 NBA free agency negotiation. The period officially begins at 6 p.m. East Coast time, June 30th. That's the day before California Governor Gavin Newsom announces his reparations plan for descendants of chattel slavery. Most of us are looking at basketball. Among the big names who are free agents are Dallas Mavericks point guard Kyrie Irving, who could be headed to his 5th team of his career. His former Brooklyn Nets teammate James Harden could be following him into free agency. If Harden declines his player options with the Philadelphia 76ers, Toronto Raptors point guard Fred VanVleet might also be looking for a new home after spending the first 7 years of his career north of the United States in Canada. And there will be more people talking about it and ogling over these big, beautiful, bronze black men as they celebrate them run up down the court. Curry for 3! Yes! Bang, bang, bang! Steph Curry for 3! You would think these same men would have enough love of God to talk about repairing injustice in the past. But I know a lot of people won't do it. And I don't understand why. If your house is burning down, would you get your whole family out? I said, if your house is burning down, would you get your family out? Or would you pretend that you don't see the fire? Would you pretend that you don't smell the smoke? Would you pretend that if I wake everybody up, what did Radio Raheem say and Do the Right Thing? He said, wake up! But if I wake everybody up, they might survive. So why won't you wake everybody up? Why won't you do what was the right thing is to do? We already have the plan in front of us. Dr. Claude Anderson in Powernomics, he talked about black labor and white wealth. The United Nations, along with the United States, they talked about the plan. It's called the Survivor Today Act for our Jewish brethren. If all life came from Africa, didn't that tell you that every person on the planet also came out of the diaspora of African people? You can give science some praise. I know some people don't believe in science, but I do. And that's my story, and I'm sticking with it. I know you want to know who won the game. But the people who won the game are the people that read. You got to read and do the right thing. Reparations is good for everybody. It's the most seminal legislation passed in this country since the ending of slavery in the 13th Amendment. The Emancipation Proclamation did not end slavery. It was the 13th Amendment that ended slavery. Juneteenth did not end slavery. That was a day that was announced as the end of slavery in Galveston, Texas. The 13th Amendment ended slavery by executive order. Give reparations executive order and give it some praise. Well, that's my story and I'm sticking with it. I know you want to watch athletes run up and down the court, hit home runs, and you say, touchdown, home run, 3-point play, oh man, Willie, he's going all the way. I love so much about God giving me the chance to do Big C Sports Podcast. And I hope more intelligent, salient people will talk about what's real. Like I said before, I was taught by some great wise people a long time ago. If your house is on fire, would you put out the fire? Or would you let it burn? If your house is on fire, would you put out the fire? Or would you let it burn? Slavery is the biggest sin this country's ever had in the front of the eyes of God. And it can be repaired. We have the example with our Jewish brethren in the Just Act that the United States, along with France and Germany, they participated. Don't turn your back on black Americans, descendants of chattel slavery. We helped the United States win the Civil War. The Union would have lost had it not been for black Americans. And everybody knows that. And then you want to rob people and say, oh, that was a long time ago. All the compound interest, the land that has gone up in value, compound interest, the eighth wonder of the world, according to Einstein. Everybody knows if you steal something, you should give it back, even if it takes a little bit longer. What did Dr. King say? If you can't fly, then run. If you can't run, then walk. If you can't walk, then crawl. But whatever you do, you have to keep moving forward and pay reparations and give that some praise. Well, that's my story, and I'm sticking with it. As I always say, if you're going to drink, don't drive. If you're going to drive, don't drink. Because mothers against drunk drivers are mad, and fathers against drunk drivers are mad. It's one of the easiest things not to do. You can call Lyft. You can call Uber. You can take a taxi. You can even sleep it off. You can walk it off. But don't get behind the wheel of a car when you've been drinking. That's dumb. The life you save might be your own, or the loved one of somebody you don't even know. Just don't do it. Look at what happened to Bob Huggins. Yeah, he needs help. But as also, if he were a young black boy with that much alcohol in his system, where would he be now? Reparations, just like money, creates favor. People know I'm telling the truth. Just Google it. Well, back in the day, there's a man known by the name of Drew Boudini Brown. He was known as Muhammad Ali's right-hand man. He would always tell Ali, you float like a butterfly, you sting like a bee, rumble, young man, rumble. He said, with all you got to use, how can you lose? Ali would say, I'm so pretty, I'm so light on my feet, that's why I float like a butterfly, and I sting like a bee. And Ali said, reparations now, reparations forever. Some people don't know he said that part. My beautiful mother always says there's never ever an excuse for racism or domestic violence. That no man, woman, or child should ever have to go through that garbage on their own. If you know anybody going through that crap, pick up the phone and call 911. Things change when the police show up. No man, woman, or child should ever have to go through that crap on their own. Well, that's my story. I'm sticking with it. As I always tell you, on every Big C Sports show, I thank you, I appreciate you, and I hope that you have a super fantastic day. Reparations now, reparations forever. In the words of the great President Abraham Lincoln, reparations now, reparations forever. In the words of the great President Abraham Lincoln, he said reparations now, reparations forever. Have a super fantastic day. And tell somebody about Big C Sports, the best sports show in the universe.